What appears to be a railing where the elevator ran up and down on. You can see how high up it goes. That is where this tragedy occurred. Out here on Lake Okeechobee in less than 2 feet of water, but you can never tell because of all the algae. In fact, just over a year ago, this water was clear. And one reason why officials are really concerned here at the Amberton apartment complex is because of this trash on the edge of the property. You've got a McDonald's fry container, you've got Subway wrappers, you've got barbecue sauce, salsa, and yes, Seagram 7. Hopefully the bear did not get into that. But these big clunky laptop computers and put them in separate bins. They cannot be in the same bin as your shoes. Point your attention to something that you may not even notice in this live shot. This thing looks like a pipe, but it actually is a storm surge instrument. It was put here by the U.S. Geological Survey.
Had to shoot it 8 times to kill it.
He shot it with this pistol before the 12.5-foot serpent finally stopped squirming.
Well, the first time I shot it right in the head. I thought that did it, and then he just recovered and took off.
Scott Dame had to step on the snake's tail before finishing it off. His grandson discovered the python behind their East Naples home last week, wrapped around one of their goats. Dame said another one of his goats had been missing for several weeks, and he believes the snake got that one too.
I wasn't trying to save it. A snake that big just has no business being here.
Dame would know. He runs a pest control business that also removes reptiles.
You know, I've dealt with a lot of snakes, you know, rattlesnakes and water moccasins and everything else, but I've never had to deal with a snake that big. So.
Were you scared?
No, I didn't have time to even think about it. My adrenaline was going.
Dame's quick thinking couldn't be more timely, since he believes floodwaters around his home from this week's storms would have made the python impossible to find, a scenario he no longer has to worry about.
I'm pretty confident I got the animal that was eating my goats.
Oh, Jessica.
No.
Oh, that's the big rocks.
Friends don't let friends drive through the water, especially when it creates a wake.
To watch the cars go by, they're not even creeping, they're flooring it, and it's creating wakes to the point where we now had to have sandbags.
Heather Olson says she's gone through this about 3 times since moving to this 1-mile stretch of road infamous for its flooding.
When I went out there earlier with my boots, it was coming up to at least my kneecaps or better.
Olson wasn't able to get to work this morning unless she had a boat. A few houses down from Olson, Tammy Fessenden made it to work, but it wasn't an easy trip.
It's actually never gotten up to my car like this before, the 4 years I've lived here, so this is kind of interesting.
County leaders admit the area has extremely poor drainage. They have a plan to work with the city on improving that. The first step will be getting some of these homes hooked up to the sewer system.
We're hoping we're going to be on priority because this is not just me, it's multiple homeowners who can't go to work, who can't function because they can't even get out of their own homes.
I don't think Jesus would have ever warned anybody about stealing an air conditioner.
But the lesson of thou shalt not steal isn't catching on in the 21st century, where for the second time in 5 months, someone stole the air conditioning unit from Noah's attic. It's a clothing donation center run by First United Methodist Church of Immokalee.
I can't believe somebody would do that to any charity, but especially to a church.
Pastor Tom Street decided to channel his frustration through the church's marquee. The message is plain and simple. The AC bandits may be heading to a place that's much hotter than Florida during the summer, and there isn't any air conditioning down there.
What else are you going to do but you know, you got to laugh at it a little bit, otherwise it'll drive you crazy.
Adding insult to injury, the church received surveillance cameras a day after the thieves struck.
It's really upsetting because it doesn't really affect us as a whole. It affects the people who needed Noah's attic to be there.
Immokalee High seniors Sifene Senya and Regina Dela Cruz volunteer here. The clothing they help give out could spoil in the hot, sticky conditions.
They'll mildew and mold, and they won't be any good anymore.
Despite his frustration, Street is glad the sign is attracting attention, and he looks forward to keeping the dialogue going.
It's going to be kind